Hello, everybody. Let's talk about Writer's Workshop. So, you are about to engage in your first Writer's Workshop for my class. I think that Writer's Workshop is an amazing opportunity for several reasons. It's an amazing opportunity to help you shape your work, for you to see writing as a process, and for you to see writing as a collaborative endeavor. So, you unless you're journal writing, you are always writing for an audience, right? And so, if you're writing for an audience, then prior to you actually sharing or showcasing your work with the public facing audience, you should have some members of your writing team that are supporting you in this effort. And in this case, those individuals will be some of your classmates, right, who are your built-in audience, and they are acting as individuals who are supporting you in the writing, revision, and editing process. You have Oakton's tutors, and you have me, okay? And so for Writer's Workshop, the goal is very simple: for you to help other individuals produce the best writing that they possibly can at this point in their writing journey for their final draft. Okay? And the reason why I say at this point in their journey, because we look at something today and we go, oh, this is perfect. We look at it next week and we see some things that we want to fix. Or we look at it next year and we go, oh man, had I known what I know now, I would have added this, this, and this. And so I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for progress, right, from each draft. And it's very clear for me and for the audience members to see the differences between a first draft and a final draft, because there's been some work done in between. And so that in between is what Writer's Workshop is all about. It's about you receiving further insights and feedback about how to improve the quality of your work, and also to share with you with what's working in the work currently. The first place that you always start before engaging in a writing workshop is the rubric. And so in the content section, you have various folders for the various essays. Our first essay is the narrative essay folder. And so you would go in there and you are looking not only at the assignment, because it tells you clearly what's expected of you for that type of essay, but also the rubric, which also tells you explicitly what we are seeking when we are looking at this type of essay. So look at those two things first, because that should inform what you're saying next. So, how this process goes: you will read the author's work in its entirety, okay? So, if it's a draft, it doesn't have to be a complete draft, but it needs to be enough of a draft for us to actually give you some quality feedback, because if we don't have much, we can't really say much, right? And so it is your responsibility. I'll give an example. Some people give us complete first drafts, right? And so if it's a 35-page essay, they write a complete draft, and that's completely fine. If that essay is supposed to be 35 pages, but for your draft you only have 2 pages, that's fine as well, if you think it's enough for us to see where you were trying to go, so that we can actually give you some feedback on it. Usually just a paragraph or some notes about it doesn't give us much in order for us to do our job, which is to help you improve the quality of the work. So the first thing you would do is to read the person's piece. As you are reading that piece or listening to that piece, if they have both posted, a video of them reading it, even though I would suggest that you also post it for us, the written version, for those of us who need to see something and can't just auditorily give you feedback like that. While we're listening to your work or reading your work, we should be taking mental notes, and then afterwards physical notes to respond to the work, right? And so what we are focused on is the rubric. How focused is this essay? How developed is this essay? What does development mean for this type of essay? How organized is this piece? And Are the mechanics working? How is the style? How is the voice, right? And so some of the things that you're thinking about, and you will see this if you go to the Writer's Workshop folder, there's an online Writer's Workshop format sheet for you that tells you exactly what the process looks like and what's expected and how you could respond. And what you're thinking about when you listen to someone's work or read someone's work is what stands out to you? What works? What doesn't? What might be missing? What could make this work stronger, right? And your goal is to be as clear and concise and given this constructive feedback as possible so that you can actually be helpful. Try your best not to take ownership of someone else's work or don't appropriate the work. This is theirs. And so instead of you demanding what they should do, you should probably work on just word choice and ask questions or share observations about the work and provide suggestions, not what they should do. And so I like to ask questions. What was the purpose of you starting by talking about your mother, even though the remainder of the essay was actually about your grandmother? I wasn't quite sure of the connection there. What were you trying to express when you said, well, we'd seen this behavior before? You never really told us what the behaviors were, so I was confused. Can you share more information about the night that you all attended the concert and what happened to your friend? This is a narrative essay, so maybe you're saying, I know that in a narrative essay, Tina said that we're supposed to use as vivid of description as we possibly can and that we need to tap into the senses. And so what other senses were engaged when you experienced this? Because right now I'm only seeing what you heard, but not what you saw, what you smelled, what you touched, how it felt. Who is your audience for this piece, right? These are all the types of questions that you're asking that helps us to think critically as writers about our own work. What did I mean when I said this? Why did I start talking about my mom when the story is really about my grandmother? Is there a connection there that I'm trying to make? Is my introduction clear enough? Is there a thesis statement in there somewhere that tells them exactly what I intend to talk about in the body of my work? Or no, do I need to revise that? Okay? And so no one is asking you to give someone a page of feedback, but we do want you thinking and not saying unhelpful things like, that was really good. That's not helpful for Writer's Workshop. What was good? Explicitly. What was working and what things do you think possibly could be improved? And so here is an example of what that would sound like or look like on paper. Tina, I really liked your paper. I love that you talked about how difficult your relationship with your mother was early on in your life. It was helpful when you shared that specific bus scene because it gave us insight into the relationship between you and how you didn't communicate as effectively as you could have. However, I would have liked to hear more of your internal monologue there because I wanted to know what you were thinking, although you were silent, right? And so here's what's working. Here's what could potentially improve this piece. Tina, you gave us a lot of description about what people were wearing, and the dialogue was really good because it helped me to see these individuals and their personalities and what they were thinking. But you talked about being on a college campus and there weren't as many details there. What was that campus like? What was that day like? What was being heard? What was going on in the background? Can you flesh out that scene a little bit more so that it can be more vivid and read like an actual narrative would, right? And so it's a conversation about how to make the work better, because the point of us putting this work up for a review is to help other individuals help you to improve the quality of that work. make sure that you read the workshop expectations, right? This should be a respectful process. Make sure that you trust the space. Don't write about anything that you don't feel like you can share, because remember, this is a public facing document. This is for us, for an audience. And so don't write about something that's too personal for you to receive feedback on from your classmates and from me. Make sure that you're being honest, right? There is an academic and professional way to tell the truth, but also and help someone. You not being honest isn't helpful. So if you know that there's some challenges with the paper, you do have to say that, because otherwise you're not meeting your goal, which is to help someone improve the quality of their work. So be honest, but also make sure that you're not being brutal. You are never saying something that is undermining someone or breaking someone's confidence or putting them or what they feel down, because that's not your role. Your role is to focus on the rubric and tell them where they're meeting the goals of the rubric and where they might be falling short. Okay? And so please do read the online writing workshop format for you to see how this process goes and what the expectations are for you. All right? I hope this has been helpful. If anything is unclear, feel free to reach out to me in the various ways that you know that you can get feedback from me. That's either through calling me or popping into office hours, or you can also shoot me an email. Okay? Thank you. Happy workshopping!